Welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Darius Harris. For today's interview, we have Mark Godfrey, head basketball coach of the University of California, Northridge. Mark, what did your dad teach you that you will always remember?
Well, I think there's so many lessons. I think the one thing is that he was always there for me. And I was very fortunate in that regard to have a father who was there and would give me advice. I had an uncle, his brother, Mike Godfrey, same way. So, they taught me so many lessons about never quitting and hard work and believing in yourself. But I probably learned more about being dependable from those two, more than anything I've ever learned. They were always there for me, and I think that was the most important thing.
Did you say to yourself one day that you wanted to be a coach?
I always knew from a young age. I'd watched my dad coach college basketball, high school and college, and then my Uncle Mike, who coached football. And I was fortunate as a young person to be in the locker room a lot of times, and I got to watch what went on, in preparing a team and the team camaraderie and how the team comes together. And all of those things are the things that got me excited about coaching, because I was able to watch, both my dad and my uncle at a very young age, all the way growing up. And so it drew me into the profession because I really enjoyed watching those guys coach.
What exactly did you put over your bed when you was a kid?
Well, my dad challenged me one time to set some goals, and I think it was a ninth grader. And I got a little 5x7 index card, and I taped it to my headboard there, and I put a short-term and a kind of intermediate and a long-term goal and put them on paper. And I had to look at them every day. And so when I woke up, it was really the first thing I saw. And then I had to ask myself, what am I going to do today to try to push me towards those goals? And when I was a ninth grader, at that time I was living in the state of Illinois, and I wanted to start on the varsity as a ninth grader. I wanted to be the best basketball player in the state of Illinois. And then I wanted to be a high-level Division I basketball player. And I put all those things on paper. And then every day I had to make that decision, if I'm going to try to be serious about reaching my goals or not. So that card I had was a daily reminder for me, and it was very helpful.
Okay. Your dad being a college coach, you moved around a lot as a kid. How did that affect you?
Well, I always tell people, and my children ended up doing the same thing, because of the coaching profession. It's difficult sometimes for young people when you have to leave a set of friends and develop a new set of friends, and you're constantly moving around. But I also think what it does, it helps you become very adaptable, and you learn different environments. You have friends all over the country, and it's not just the same thing every day. So I always looked at it as a positive. I had to move before my senior year of high school from Illinois to Alabama, and you walk into a brand new environment and nobody knows you and you don't know them, but it forces you to learn how to make friends and to learn a new environment. So for me, moving a lot actually, I was never going to let that be a negative. It was always going to be a positive for me.
Okay. Well, you were recruited by a lot of good schools. Why did you pick Oral Roberts University?
Well, it's interesting. I took official visits to Duke and Ohio State and Alabama and Auburn, and I ended up going down to Oral Roberts, and my family knew the head coach there, and I thought it was just a great place. And I also think that, God brought me to Oral Roberts for a reason. I could have been a lot of other places, and that was a very great year for me. I got great friends and learned a lot about my faith. And so without that year, who knows? But that was a great year for a lot of different reasons other than just basketball.
How about the president, Oral Roberts?
Well, at that time I was very lucky. Got to meet him, got to get to know Oral Roberts at the time. And, I had broken my foot in high school and missed about half my high school senior year. And then all that summer leading up to my freshman year in college, I had some issues with my foot, and my foot wasn't all the way healing correctly. And one time I went in and he put his hands right on my foot, and we prayed and believed with all my heart that he healed me, that God healed me. I never had an issue after that, my rest of my career. So again, the year I had at Oral Roberts was good for basketball, but for me, there was a lot more going on in my own personal life that really kind of helped catapult me into the future.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, why did you transfer?
Well, the coach that I went to play for got fired midway through the freshman year. It's kind of part of the turf, in college and pro athletics. And I really wanted to come back a little bit closer to home, closer to my family. My family was here in Mobile at the time. And so it just made sense when I transferred back to the University of Alabama. And then I had 3 wonderful years playing there for Alabama. So it was mostly the reason that our head coach got fired.
When you went to Alabama, you were coached by Whips Sanderson. What exactly would you say made him a good coach for you?
Well, I thought he was a phenomenal basketball coach, and he was a coach that kept everything very simple. There's a lot of ways to coach, but his whole philosophy is to keep it simple and then just get you to play as hard as you possibly could play. And he did a great job recruiting, had good players, but I really enjoyed playing for him. He taught me a lot about hard work and coaching. He's one of the guys that I draw from a lot as I've become a coach. But I enjoyed playing for him. We had 3 great years playing. We were 3 straight Sweet 16s in the NCAA tournament. We won an SEC championship, an SEC tournament championship, and it was really a phenomenal period. It was a phenomenal time, and I appreciated a lot that I learned from Coach Sanderson.
Okay. Mark, who did you play for after Alabama and after college?
Well, in 1987, I was drafted by the Detroit Pistons, and that was the year prior to Detroit going to back-to-back, becoming the Bad Boys, and they won 2 world championships. And so I was kind of on the front end of that. And, I was in and out of there. Never could really stick with them, but had a great experience there with Detroit. When I got cut from Detroit, I played with Athletes in Action. It was a Christian basketball team. We traveled all over the world, and it was a phenomenal experience for me. So even though I never had an extended long run in the NBA, I still had a great opportunity playing with Athletes in Action at that time.
You were head coach at Murray State, Alabama, NC State, Cal Northridge. You won. You were in the Sweet 16 NCAA tournament. Tell us about that.
Well, there's so many things. Coaching can be a tough profession. And, a lot of us have not been able to go an entire career without being fired along the way. And that's just kind of part of the turf. But I've always tried to look at the positives of coaching. I have been blessed in so many ways. I was a part of a national championship team at UCLA. At Alabama, we were ranked #1 in the country. We won an SEC championship in the Elite Eight. At NC State, we had Sweet 16 teams and guys that were lottery picks. And so even though there are tough things along the way in coaching, when I look back over the last 30 years, I'm unbelievably blessed and fortunate to be a part of some great teams that won and some great coaches that coached with me. So I just have had a great run. It's been phenomenally positive for me, and hopefully it will continue to be.
What exactly would you define makes a good team?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that go into becoming a good team, but I remember John Wooden, the old basketball coach at UCLA, he had a comment one time. He said, "It's amazing what can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit." And if you can ever get a group of people in any sport, in basketball or football or baseball, that truly put the team first over their own selfish or own personal agendas and goals, you've got an opportunity with that group to become something special. And I think most coaches, I know I would say this, that of all the years you coach, sometimes you don't really have that with a team, and you're always trying to get there as a coach. And there are other times when you do, and the team buys in, and they believe that the team and the goals of the team are the most important thing. And at that point, you got a chance to do something really special. And so I think probably more than anything, that's the most important thing.
Can you expand on John Wooden? I know he was a great coach and did a lot for the game of basketball as a whole.
Well, he was phenomenal. He won 10 national championships in 11 years. Think about that in college basketball. And when I went to UCLA, he had been retired for a number of years, and I got the opportunity to be around him a lot, and he became really a good friend and a mentor to me as a young coach. And I used to go out to his house all the time, and we'd sit and talk, and we'd talk some about some X's and O's and things like that. But more than that, our talks were always about leadership and character and hard work and making good decisions and how to build a program. And so every time I was with John Wooden, I always kind of joked and said I wish I had like a catcher's mitt and I could catch every pearl of wisdom that he was giving me. And he had great poems, and he was very wise. And my sons, my children had a great opportunity to meet him. My family members have had a great opportunity to meet him, and every time you were with him, he was so generous with his time, tremendously wise, so many pearls of wisdom that he would give to us, and so I was very lucky to be a part of that.
Can you remember one of those pearls?
Well, I think one thing that probably stood out to me, I was in his living room talking one day, and I asked him, I said, when you coached, I said, were you ever a yeller and a screamer, and like a lot of coaches nowadays, up and down the sidelines, and he said, Mark, early I was when I was young. Then I got older. He said I realized I would much rather soften my voice and have my players trained to listen than constantly raise my voice and have them cover their ears. And he would always have a way of kind of articulating a thought to where it would stick with you. And he told me one time, and this goes with really parenting as well. Coaching's a lot like parenting, but I remember he said, it's amazing how a young person's hearing improves when they hear praise. He said, reprimand them, yes, followed by praise. And I see that even with my own children, how much their hearing improves when they hear praise. And so he had a lot of those, and he was obviously very, very wise.
Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. I hope you have a wonderful day, and remember, God has a plan for your life.